You see now, so we should ensure that the file is first created, folder, and within that all these files should be going there. So how I will classify CP in real time? So fine. So create directory, create folder. So if you give any folder name, say like, so folder name, we should ensure the folder is created. How do you create? So you have the standard way, right? We should import OS. If the file is not exist, then you want to create. So make DRS of this folder name. Or in short, so there is one more thing called as make DRS of, so exit on if present. So there are two ways. Make dir of, if it is just a folder, just do like a make dir, or like there is one more thing like this, os dot make drs of the same folder name, whatever you have folder name, exit okay equal to true. Did you see? Make drs, so we'll actually give the response. If it is exists, it will not do anything, else it will ensure to create it. So after creating it, I want to do your job. Now you see here, this is my constants we can place in the top. So leave it. So now I need to make it like a function. Get HTTP, so status images. I have a function like this. See, we are trying to make it everything modular such that it's easy for us. So now you have this one as functions, and this is another function. Now what I will do at the end, what I'll do, I write like if underscore name underscore is equal to underscore main underscore. In that case, so first I should ensure like, create folder name of like, so HTTP status cats, and within that I want to say like get images. Now in this case, see here, whenever it is coming, so it will execute. Say like, see here, every time I'm printing the URL, right? So instead of printing URL every time, so only if the response is there, then I want to print it. You see now, I don't want to print every time. Within that also I'm printing, right? Now you see, this time if I execute, only if there is a response, it will print that, and the responses will go to a new folder called as HTTP status cats. So status cats I did. You see now, okay, it is trying to generate and storing here itself. Oh, stop. So we should go the path, the file path I told, right? Where it is going like this. But it should not be the file path. So for that, what we need to do? So file path will be the what? File path is equal to, two things should be there. os dot path dot join of whatever the folder name is there. So folder name, and followed by maybe like I'll say like, say folder name followed by what are the URL is there, right? You have this one that you can copy and place it. Ah, shit. Fine. So we need to import the OS. Import OS. Here I did. It should not be done like that. So next, folder name we need to pass. If I pass the folder name, so within that folder name it will do. So the same HTTP cats I need to pass here also. Or if you want the same context in both, you can create a class. Then it's easy, right? So you see now you have both of them. If I execute now, so every time it will, okay, sorry, one more mistake I did. So here, instead of again replacing, I did the same old thing. Now instead of the entire thing, I should say like file path. If I say this file path, it will go and do the things in that file path. Now you see, now a folder is created. Within that folder, its values are generating. Instead of outside, I want to generate inside. So outside files, I want to delete it. It has deleted the outside files, and all the files has gone now inside it. And you see, for whomever there is a response content, so then only it is showing. Means for 100, 101, 202, all these things are there. Next in the 200 series is there. next in the 300 series, so next in the 400 series, like that all cats will come. So this is how you get it. See here, now you have 100, 101, 103, 102, 200. So means like based upon the response, it is giving a particular cat. So you can understand how things are working. Hope it's clear. So you got all the responses for everything. You got everyone. So you did like this for the cats. So similarly, one last program we have is on response dogs. In the same lines, if I want to do the things on a dogs, so how better I can do? Yeah, so I can go and like ask. So in the same fashion, here also there is one more function, http statusdogs.com. This is also an open. They don't have an authentication. That's why I can access directly. So that's why I pulled. There are many such open APIs which we can do. And this time smartly I will do what is that? I know there are certain requests are only available. Means, so though I am doing like 100 to 600, means totally 500 requests I'm making. But I know there are certain things which are not implemented at all. So there is no point of making a HTTP call. So now I will go for something called as memoization design pattern. Memoization pattern means nothing. So means if you know that certain things will work, use them instead of all. That's the whole point. So in this case, I know that only these will work. 100, 200, all these things. So I give specifically these numbers only. For these numbers only, I want to execute. So instead of a cats, it's a dogs, right? Dogs. For these numbers, I want to do dogs. Say now, instead of like all the numbers, now I want to remit to these numbers. So if I say like for each number in, or like uh, what is that? Okay, this number item. Okay, for each status code in this existing numbers, I want to play with it. Say you take the URL and you want to format it. This time I took the URL here itself and I want to do. So URL each format I want to take it. So F I place, and within that I write like this. So each status code, I got the URL now. From this URL, I want to get the URL response. If I make a hit, I get the response. From this response, based upon the conditions I want to do. So this time I want to take, again, image should be so and so. If everything is good, then in that case, I want to do. So here also, I want to reuse the same function. So you are in the same directory, right? We can reuse it. See, in the same directory, both are there. We can reuse it. How to reuse it? From acats import, we have like, what are the functions it has? Create folder, right? I will reuse this function called as create folder. So first I will do like a create folder and then ask this thing. So maybe write here also, I'll write. So get status docs, write entire content within it. Okay, you got it. And similarly, so if underscore name underscore is equal to, so get status codes. Before that, I write like create folder of http status docs. So this is how I'm making it to reuse. So did I make anything mistake? If so and so, okay, here I need to write the condition. So anyhow, I created the folder, and within the folder, I want to do it. So I created the folder with, so sorry. Yeah, if not present, it will ensure that. So I will write like file path is equal to os dot, so path dot exists of what are is your HTTP status guards. The folder name you write here, folder name. The same folder name you need to pass, folder name, comma. So f of what are is that each status code is there, right? Each status code dot jpg, jpg. Okay. So you want to write it. Now you need to open this file with open of what are the file path is there. And this is most important. When you're writing, it's not wp we need to write because it's a byte string as file handler. And we need to write, say file handler dot write of. So what are you have the response dot content, response dot content. If I do, that's it. So I need not do anything, any close, nothing. So because it will automatically close. If I say be so and so, if I execute every time, maybe like if you want to get it, print it. Okay. If everything is good, I want to print the response. So f of URL is equal to execute right now. Here also the same way, it will need to create a new folder name. It is saying like, hey, you are supposed to pass the folder name, you didn't pass it. So you pass the folder name. So here also, and you get it. You see now, os.path.exist. It takes exactly one argument, but you pass it two arguments. Which one? So line 83. The problem is at line 83. I'm checking path.exist, not path.join, right? So join takes everything comma separated and do it. So if I pass now, it will create. For these are the URLs. It is creating a new folder called as dogs, and it is adding all of them here. So for every dog, it is having all the dogs you have. So for everything, you have a dogs. This is how you took like the different data types. And like this, we got it. Now, the last thing which I want to showcase is about the request methods. EF, right? Request methods. So this time I want to go for request methods.ipynb. IPython notebook I want to go this time, and I want to show because we didn't touch on it for the quite some time. So I'm coming back here. So first, whenever you're using, first we need to import that. Anytime, what are the imports you have? It's better to place all of them in the starting, even in the program or in the Jupyter notebook. So assuming that some of the modules I will use down the line, I'm trying to import everything here. So anyone who is coming to your Jupyter notebook or Python script, they will understand in the starting that these are all the modules which are being used. So first and foremost, if I have a request, so till now that, so Kite is like one more thing they give. Whoever is giving this kind of APIs, I'm trying to use them so that it's easy. So you see, understand what I'm happening here. Whenever I'm doing a request, I got a response, right? In the response object, till now I'm getting dot content dot JSON like that. Similarly, I can ask dot text also. If the response is a text, I can ask dot text also. So what is saying? HTTP pool maximum request happened, failed. Means seems like these guys are not giving the data right now. So some of them are like limiting us. So means like no. So they are like max limiting. So it is saying like mock.kite.come max entries. How many max entries we give? Only one till now. It's not giving. Earlier it used to give. So but like now it's not giving. So sometimes like they will change these things. So maybe like let me take one more example then. This time let's work on this API endpoint I have. So this is another. So this also supports. This is also a good API. So where like so we can demonstrate all kinds of things. So till now we have seen all kinds of things, right? So in the same way here also we can do. What all things you can see here is that as of now we have seen get API, post API, and all these informations. Now also we can see all of them, but yeah, see here. So get, I told you that if you want to get a single record, or these are like path parameters. So just if you ask post, you should get all the posts. If these are like path parameters, means I want only the first post, like individually post by ID, get by ID. So within that post also, if I want like comments only, I can get that information. Or like I want all the comments, but this is a query parameters. So these first three are like path parameters. The next one are like query parameters. So like that we have. And similarly, not only get, we have post, put, patch, delete also. What are these methods? How they are working? How they can help us? So first, if I take this URL like a URL, so we can understand that. Say this is my URL. Okay. So from this URL, they have implemented all these things. Why we cannot do for others means they didn't implement it. If they implement it, we can get it. So first, if I go to this URL, the most important thing you need to understand is how do you create the URL and do it. So hope you remember earlier I told that we need to implement a generic API. This time I want to create something like this. Let me show you. Okay. So I have one logic here. Get response. It's a generically I am doing. I have all these options, right? Okay. So I am doing a get only, not post put until now, only get. Whatever the URL it will need to generate it. So I gave this assignment for you, but still I am trying to help you understand. So each time user is given two things. So user is giving only one word, right? URL plus so and so, URL plus so and so, URL plus so and so. So whatever the URL you were given, so you can execute. And within that, you can say like, response is equal to request dot get of whatever the URL was given. So, so if the content type and all this information, if if the same thing I can also do like if response dot okay and so and so, means like I can do the same thing as the other way. Status code I'm checking as 200. If status code is 200, only then this will be like this. So indirectly like this also I can check. I get the response and I print the actual content. If everything is good, I want to do print of response dot JSON. So I didn't import the print, right? So from print import pp. Okay. So that every time I can use it. When you are working on Jupyter Notebook, this is the most important thing. And before that, you do a print of response.url. If I do now, you see in what the case happens. What are the requests you make for every time you are getting? So when I am doing a get, a put, a post, I am getting all the things. So whenever I'm doing a post, I'm getting all the post requests, right? So post request means how many requests are there, everything I'm getting. But if you want a specific request, I can go in the other way. Now you see, I wrote a generic function. Now I can reuse them individually. So that's the beauty of writing the generic functions. I wrote like generically something. Okay. When you write a function, nothing will execute. I can now execute each of them individually and see each one. Now we see here, initially if I ask for posts, I get all the posts, right? Which are I have. And similarly, if I ask for the post one, I want only one post within it. I can do a slash and you can see that. So class post one means only one post you got. So this post has a user ID, title, so body something. And similarly, if I want in that post, I want to get the comments of this post. This post don't have comments, that's why you are not getting. It doesn't mean that every time what are requests you should be present, right? And similarly, you want to get all the comments of for the post one. Means here you are not getting. So here you are getting. So both are indirectly same, right? So, but like you are asking comments of all the posts. So they didn't implement that. Just imagine in a Facebook, if you ask whoever had made a post, it's easy. But get all the comments means it's humongous, right? So it would be, will be very difficult for them. So that's why if they don't expose, you don't see it. If they expose, you see it. So like this, it will happen. And lastly, in terms of the authentication. So next one is like authentication. Maybe like here also I can give EFG. Authentication. There are like multiple ways of authentication. One example I will do like, basic auth. So there are like basic auth, JSON, JWT. So, and like OAuth, like multiple things are there. So, okay, instead of a .py file, yeah, let's see. This time I do go for one more thing. Yeah, I take a URL in HTTP bin. They created like basic auth username/password. Means something they created. It doesn't mean that here we should give username or password. They created an endpoint like this, and any endpoint, if they want to access, we need to pass the authentication information. Means you need to pass like this: username and password. At this moment, they created a dummy thing. So whatever the username you pass, it will work. And then if I do like this is very interesting. So print. So till now I didn't tell this option. For the first time I will tell you. So if authentication, so print statement, till now if you do any print statement, what will happen? It will show in the output, right? But if I say file is equal to std error, so that is also same. Means that is the default way. Rather, if you open any file and place, the output will go to that file. So I think I showed you when I'm working on the logging module, right? This one. So typically we do. And similarly, we can get the content type and other information. So, and like as content type is JSON, so we get the JSON information. And if you ask, it says it. So it's a dummy API. It will work perfectly only if you give username password. Say if I go with yeah. You see now, I gave user and I gave the password. It is saying authentication successful. I say I'm giving something else or some other garbage password I give. For garbage password, what it is saying? Hey, response object has no attribute, get code. No, status code. Status code. You see now? Did you understand response request? Okay. So this guy, so it's a response, right? Instead of a request. Response. Response. So here I don't want to do. Yeah, crazy. So response.status. Response.status code. So response.status code, response.status code, response.json. Okay, response data, and you want to print it. So else you want to pp of a response data. So from pprint import pp. This one you have, and if you execute now, you can understand that. What it is saying? Hey, headers don't have a content type also. This is crazy, right? The code is entirely breaking. Means they created for user and password only. If you are doing anything else, it is throwing an error. Now let me show everything now. It is saying like it don't have content type directly and others are there. Means when you are not giving username password correctly, the entire structure is collapsing. So means like I can place a breakpoint this time. That is the best way. Instead of you commenting the entire code every time. So whenever you got a problem, it's better to place a breakpoint. If I say response, I got like 401. What is 401 response means? User 400 series means user client side issues, you understood. 401 means unauthorized, right? Yes. Authentication means the same. If you didn't give properly, so what will I do? If I say response dot JSON I'm doing, so it is saying that you cannot get it, because sometimes if the things are not perfect, they don't give their answer. So I need to say like response dot content is empty, response dot JSON. So text also I got empty. And what is this problem? I need to understand. So response, I didn't understand what to do now. Now if I say dir of this response, it will give me what all the attributes are there. In this, you can see that there is a reason, right? I can ask response dot reason. Did you see what it is saying? It is unauthorized. If you are giving properly, I will give. Else I cannot be helpful. That's what it's saying. So you see, like log in some function you wrote like this, and you want to do the things twice in two different cases. If so, login. So whenever you are giving, you are passing the username and password. Okay. So this username and password you have. Maybe they created this for a specific username. What are the username the user is passing? Username underscore password underscore password. So this one you need to pass this information as it is here. Whatever you pass, it will do it. So you are writing a generic function here. Now you see here, they have given like a user, and the password is like PASSWD. Like this only exactly they give. If you do exactly like this, then it will work. So I remove the breakpoint, and if I execute again, it will work perfectly. And if I give anything else apart from that, say like password something or something else, then it will break it. In both the case, it is breaking. Where it is breaking, you don't even have a JSON. Means now, instead of breaking the entire content, what I can tell, hey, if the response status is not equal to so and so, so the things are like this. So break the, so you want to return the function because you're in a function, right? There is nothing you can do. So you can return what? Instead of doing all these things, return response dot reason. You want to print the same again. Okay. So when I did a return, it will not go further down the line, right? So I need not even worry. So if you want further, you can print that response statement also here. So like this. Only if it is correct, it will come down. It will, else the code will not break. So the code is breaking for multiple reasons. So here what? Yeah, response dot res. So you don't want anything. So because like it will print response dot reason. Printing also same thing, returning also. If someone want to consume also, they do the same thing. Now you see here, if everything is good, it will be authenticated. If not, so you will not be authenticated. So don't you see how I made this evolution? I created a small function out of it, and slowly I created a production ready code. So in real time, you create code in this way only. So it is not about learning a concept. You can learn anything, but how you are implementing it, that's where like things will change. So, and one last example, last two things, So downloading files and uploading files. We have already seen the image files. So similarly, in real time, as a data engineer, you will work on XML files, JSON files like that. FGH. If I say downloading files, how do you download the files? So if I have, say first one is like a underscore get XML data. If I have some XML data, how I am getting this information, how I am passing. there is one URL which I have, which is like giving information on the statistics of the exchange rates. So Europa exchange, if I go with this Europa exchange, it will give some information. If I open again that, you can notice that there is a Europa exchange. It should give me the data. Not sure whether it is working right now or not. If it works, it should give the data. Yes, here. Euro foreign exchange reference data. Maybe previously they didn't give because they found like you were asking from browser. That's why they didn't give maybe. So it is giving the exchange rate of all these things. Now I want to check first of all whether it is still working in the browser. So in the Python code. If not, how they were working. Let's see. So till now you worked on JSON, but XML you never worked, right? Let me show you how to work on this XML and get this data. So I have this response, and if I want to get it, import requests, that's what we are using, and also from pprint. So import pp, that also we use. In case like, so we want to use, there is one more module called as XML. So, but let me show you in the other way. Say first response is equal to request dot get of URL. If I have URL, I'm getting it. So from this, if I want to get the content, I get the content, right? Response dot headers. I told response dot headers. If you want to get pp of ticked off, this one, if I get the response dot content. And similarly, if I say print of response dot status code, means like 200 or something, it will show. You see now, it is giving a response header. And this time, did you notice that response content type? So the content type, it is giving like XML, this thing. That's the most important thing. It is the first time. And transcoding is like chunked response, and you're getting something. And see, it is giving you a lot more information. And the server is Myra Cloud something. Means not every time all this information is same. However they expose, you get the same information. So it is coming from a third parties. So okay, fine, whatever might be. You got like response dot text is also there. So status code means 200, you understood. Oh, if it is not 200, then you want to stop there itself. So if response dot status code is not equal to 200, or so response dot, so content response dot headers of content type. So what is the content type exactly, right? Yeah, content type should be equal to this one, should be equal to this one. Means if it is not equal to the 200, or if it is not equal to so and so, in both the cases you don't want to do. Then if you do sys dot exit, so we need to import that module also. So import sys. I did all the imports and I am doing it. So if everything is good, it will come down. So after that, if I say print of a response dot, you remember I told response dot content, I told response dot text, I told. Response dot content is like a generic, even for images also it will be there. But if there is an image data, if you ask text, it will not be that good, right? So that's why they created two things for us. If I say response dot content, did you see that I got the content like an XML? This is XML text, in fact. If you ask what is the type of it, it will tell that I am of type. So I'm of type text only. So if I say type of what is this response dot text, it will give the direct content. So did you see that it is saying I'm of type string? But we need to parse like a thing. How do you parse it? If you want to parse, there is something like in the XML module called as xml.dom.minidom parse string. So there are multiple ways of parsing. And if you want to parse it, this is one way of doing. And if I take this content and if I do like a parsed this content like this, what are the response I have? That response dot content dot decode of UTF-8. And if you want to replace these things, So it's a best practice to replace and cleanse the content before using. And I parse the content. So after parsing, if I'm asking this, hey, print off, hey, what is this type of this parser content? If you want to do any operation, first you need to know what is that. Say I'm commenting this content so that I will focus on more. So did you see that it is of type xml.dom so and so? So means if you want to get the currency information or something, we should parse into it. So now if I execute it, you will understand the content. So this is the entire content you are getting, okay? Typical XML. So you parse this object. From this object, if you want to go, you can go like that. If I tell like, I want to go to child nodes. So what are the nodes are there? Every node it is getting. Say like if I want to print off, say parsed nodes, child nodes, parsed dot child nodes if I want to get. What are the child nodes within it? It will give. Did you see it is giving the Elvino upon so and so? So if I go want to get the currency nodes, so currency rates are there, right? So if you see typically the XML, this is at the XML header, and this is the first level envelope. Within that, for that child, this is this one. So for that child means this is this one. For that child, this is this one. For that child means these things. So like that, we have typically this much structure we have. If you want to get the currency rates, we should go one within that two, within that so and so. You can research by debugging. So what I can tell is I can place a breakpoint. Instead of breakpoint, let me show you something interesting this time. So till now, whenever you are executing any Python code, how you execute? Python space file name, right? Now I want to say like Python hyphen I want to do. Whenever you want to do post debugging and processing, you can do like this. If I do hyphen A, after executing everything, console will go into the interactive mode and all the results will also be stored. So in this case, say if I want to get the parsed of children I have. So parsed of children if I ask, hey, what are your children? What are the children? Okay, it is saying indentation error. It is saying this is my children. If I say children 2 of like the children 2, so it will go each level every time. If I do like p print, say within that it is going for the q. That is the second level. Within that I want going to the 0th level. So like that I am getting the currency rates. So in that child nodes like that. And from that, similarly, if I want to get the currency information. So whatever the currencies and all this information I can get and I can work on it. So now, if I ask like, what is the currency rates? Currency rates, if I ask, it says, hey, did you see these are all the currency rates it's saying. Now I can go to each other currency rate. So for each in currency rates, again, it's an object. If I say, what is the type of each? And if you print the each, so then you can work. As you are already in interactive mode, you just exit and execute it. You see now, each time, what are these cubes are there? Each of the currency it is showing you. Currency and its rate, currency and its rate. Say I want to parse this entire content and I want to read the content. So how do you parse the content? So there is like get attribute we can do. So from this we can get the, from each currency rate, if I want to get the currency, I get like this. There is something called as get attribute, because for everything this is one tag. In this tag these are like attributes. So attribute, there is no child tag. In the attribute itself they wrote the currency and the rate. And similarly if I want to get the rate, so rate also they give. Say rate they give. Say rate, I want to get the attribute of rate. So what are the attribute is rate, I am getting it. And also rate will be like a floating point value, right? Instead of a string, I want to take like a float. I got now both the things. So now I can get the, you see now. So like that, so the timestamp and other information are giving. Similarly, if I say people in space right now, if I click on it, you can see. So these were all the people right now in there. Totally, there were 10 people. So each of the craft name. So everyone is in the same craft, ISS, and the name of the people. So Russians will be there. So Americans will be there. So Indians, every country people, Chinese, everyone will go there. So they do the research and get it. Now we have two APIs, one for the this one and one for this. So these two APIs we can consume the data. So now how to write this API, how to get this information. So let's focus on that. In the ISS, the first and foremost, when you are writing, if I can start on the ISS, what I understood is like ISS now I want to write means ISS now means I have the current location of the ISS. If you want, this is how you get the current location. And if you want to consume the data, so this is the API that they give. If you .json exactly they give to get the data. So how to get it? So earlier I told either urllib.request also we can do, request module also we can do. Say this time I want to use request module. So import request. I told if you want to use request, first we need to install it. But urllib, it comes built in. Now with the urllib request, if I want to execute, I will take what are the URL I have and I do like response equal to request.get of so and so. Means I will get some response. Now if I say what is the response? Response, if you see Python a so and so. You see now, I get some response. Hope you know that if I see the DAR of this response, it has a good number of attributes. The difference between urllib and request module is request module comes with some pre-built things which will make our life easy, but at the cost of performance. And I told by default when you're printing, you are getting response of 200. Hope you remember I told what are the response statuses. So whenever you do anything, you get a response. Say you are in a bookshop and I'm coming to ask for some book. The book may present or not. You can tell that if the book is present, you say it is okay. So, and similarly 201 means whenever you're doing a post request, it will come. So like that, different requests are there for different purposes. Now, if I go for the DAR of this NP, you can see that it has good number of attributes like is redirected and all this information are there. So the most important among them are like, some of them are like this here. The status codes. So URL, so all this information. The status code 200, just I told. This is the URL and response reason. Generally, it will be okay if it is 200. If there is any failure, then you will see the reason. And what is it okay means it's true. Is it redirected means when you connected to this particular URL, is it connecting to something else, redirecting? No. Sometimes what happens, these organizations, financial organizations and others, they don't expose their APIs to the world directly because the security concern. They will have something like a proxy in middle. There is something called as EPG. EPG is something like a proxy. People use it. EPG is one kind of proxy tool. For any APIs, so that will redirect. In that case, you will see that. And elapsed time means how much time it take for this response to come. Means for after you filed the request and how much time it took for the response to come. So that is like that. And similarly, there is one more thing here you need to understand. So there is something information on the headers, if you see. So what is this headers and what we can do? If I say import pprint from print import pp, if I do, I can ask, hey, what is this response header? When you are doing a request, you are telling something. In the response also, it will tell something. What is that information means? Let's say there is a lorry which is carrying some sand. So from one place to another place. Then along with them, they will have some information, right? So the lorry person will carry that, like, hey, what is it? Sand. When it was collected, when it need to be delivered, so where it need to be delivered, so how they are delivering. So all this contract information will be there, right? In the same fashion, when you're getting a request also, it will have in a particular way how the data came, what they're expecting, and others. Similarly, when a response is coming also, same thing will be there. And it doesn't mean that everyone should have the same information. Server to server, things may change because they how they configured, they will get. But the minimum things you will get, like the date, content type, etc. And one of them is, see here, the server name. Means when I have gone to this API.open setting, maybe the code was written in some other language. They exposed it via the Nginx server for us. So at what date it is? 25th January GMT. So right now I was in GMT. So now it is like 4:33 and it is like 4:31. At the time it came it. So what is the content type? Application JSON. What is the connection content? Content. So content length 114 bytes. Sorry, means very small data. And is connection keep alive? Means every time when you're making connections, so it's like, every time when you are asking for something, first a connection needs to be happened, and that with that connection we can do anything. So if I do the same request 100 times, then like 100 times first you need to establish a connection and wait, right? So that's why some people will make like keep alive, means keep alive for like say 5 minutes or 5 seconds or something. So in that duration, if you're asking like multiple calls also, instead of re-establishing a new connection, it will try to reuse. But some financial organizations or where stringent things are needed, they don't make that keep alive. So it is all up to the who have configured this server. Based upon that, it will be there. So now you got this information. And similarly, based upon this information, if you want to work on, if I want to get the response, what I can do based upon this, I understood that this content is application JSON, then I can work on it. And I can ask like, hey, so as it is like JSON, I can convert, right? Either we can do an str of content of UTF-8 or like JSON.loadis. This is the first method, which I showed earlier also to you. In the same fashion, I can also do using the direct thing. Sometimes the response may not be in application JSON. Sometimes if there is a failure, it can be like a HTML also. But generally, it's not a good practice. As a people who are developing the application, they don't do, if I'm not wrong. But whenever you get also, you can get that content. So what are the content you have and you want to print it? Say pp of this response content. If I execute right now, I get the entire content. You see, this is what ISS position. So this is the latitude and longitude position, message and timestamp. From that, if I want to parse them, so I can parse them and execute. So instead of printing like this, like the entire content, more meaningful way I am doing is the content. So see, if I execute, it will execute. And similarly, so you have indentation for all the things. Generally, if the application is application JSON only, you want to execute. In other case, you don't want to execute. So then indirectly, can I do like this, that sys.exit? In other case, I can just do directly sys.execute, exit. If you are aware of sys.exit, sys is an application. Yeah.
Import this one.
Yes. Sys.exit of, yeah. So here we need to import, yes. Import sys module. If I do now, I'll get it. And I need to move it left side, else it will not execute. So if everything is good, I'm executing. So now code, it is very legible, very neat, clean. So that's what we say. And I'm extracting these pieces individually and I'm executing it. Hope it's clear how things are working here.
Yes.
You got the response, you got information and others. Now the second API, you saw like how to get the list of astronomers, right? Let me go with that, the second API. So this time, and this API also same thing happens. If I go here, so to get the astronomers living on the JSON, if I say astros.json, I get it. So means there is no standard way. Everyone has their own way of doing. So same like in the previous, if I say import request, and I do response equal to request.get of so and so. And from this, if I want to get the records, so what I'll do, the same logic again. If I want to get all this information, if I go in the previous example, I get all this information, and I want to do. I take all this information and try to do for the second one. See now, if I try executing it, will it work? Because not everything will give the same response, right? So if I be so and so, see it throw an error. Because like, so these responses you saw, it is also status okay, you got response evil, everything is fine. But when during the content, so first thing is like, you don't have like sys module imported, that I have done. So till fine. So where the error is line 36, means line 36 here. In the response content, you don't have other information. Now if I do like a pprint dot pp, then from pprint import pp. If I execute right now, you'll understand that this is the response you are getting. And you are trying to get this content. This is wrong, right? There is nothing like ISS position. So in this response, you have like message, number, and people. Means I should ask these keys, only then I'll get it. So then if I want to get like the numbers, I can specifically get it. Instead of doing like this, I can get like if I got a numbers, because number of people I want. So can I get the number of people? Because here the number is 10, right? I got the number of people who are there. And similarly, how if I want to get the people key I need to go. And if I want, say like how many crafts are there, how many, so there are ISS is there, one Shenzhou something is there. Means this is Chinese, I presume. And some people are there. So now I need to parse this content. And if I want to get the crafts names and this one together, I can do that. Say crafts. So crafts is one thing, and like names, or like astros, or yeah, astros if I want to get. So there are two things I have now. Now for, so each record in, so which one I need to go? Response content dot people. I need to get, each time I get the craft information. In within that is the craft, right? And similarly, I have a name. So name is equal to, so each record of craft name, sorry. Like this, I have two things. Now I need to append these together. So the craft I need to pass to the craft, names I need to pass to the name. So after passing this, I got all the people together. Now I can ask uniquely. So total number of people, so the craft and the astronomers, means I can do something like this. So total crafts, how many I have? Sorry, not crafts, crafts, right? So each crafts, crafts I have, and I execute. Did I do any mistake here? Each time I'm appending and I'm asking, I got these many results. The reason is simple. Indentation is paramount every time. So we need to know where you need to place. If I place inside, it is thinking within the for loop. That's why you're getting like that. If I place outside, then you get the things very clearly. So you see now in this case, when I execute, it says totally how many crafts are there. You need to know which data structure we need to use for what purpose. As names will not be repeated, you can use a list. But don't you think crafts will be repeated? So do you think like we need to use list? No. We should use which one for the storing unique values?
Array.
No, we should use set. Set is for like storing unique values. How do you define set? We should not define with flower braces. We should define like this. And okay, I defined if an execute, will it work? For a set, if you want to add the values, we should not use append, should use add. If you use add, then if you execute again, it will execute and store all the values.
Graphs.add.
Oh, I did in the wrong place. Yes, I defined the set. Graph should be like this. So here I need to do the append, add, and the other one the append. If I execute now, see now, I got the unique graphs and the total number of astronomers and all the astronomers. So don't you think I got now everyone? Is it clear? So in this process, I showed you how to use the data structure, which data structure we need to use in which place, in what way we need to use, like that. And similarly, so not only this, so this API can give one more thing also, means this ISS is actually roaming across the earth, right? Every time. So daily, its only job is like revolving around the earth, rotating around the earth, sorry. So then like, you can also pass like optionally some parameters. I told these are called as query parameters. Sir, why only LAT? Why can't we say LATTU latitude? Because the people who define this REST API, they have defined the format like this. So we should use like that only. Based upon their documentation only, we should use in this way if I want to use it. So first I need to get this information in a latitude and longitude information. So for that, what I'll do, I will take this information. Say I take the URL. For this URL, I need to pass the query parameters. Generally, when you have a URL, so you need to pass the query parameters on your own. Means like if you are passing like this, okay? You created a URL and parameters, everything together. Now I need to do a response. Response is equal to, request dot get of this URL. If I have this URL and I'm getting the cons. So then after the response, so the most common things like URL and others I'm getting here, Python, C so and so. You observe that you get the response, you get the URL and so and so. What is saying? Hey, you gave correctly. It is saying 404. 400 series means client side issues. Client side issues, I gave the status codes. You see here. What is 404? Not found. Means that is not found at all. So what is this? Means whatever you gave is not found. So you should give something else. So I should give in a much better way. So if I give, it should work. But as of now, it's not giving to me. So means I will just go to the URL and see whether they have removed this option or not. So if I go here, it is saying again not found. Means genuinely they might have removed this. Let me go again to the JSON without any query parameters. ISS pass, it is not giving. Means this ISS pass itself is not there. Means that API they have removed it. Earlier it used to be there. See now in the APIs, did you see in a specific position? So earlier it is there, now it is not there. So this also can happen, right? So now we understood that this is not working. So maybe like they made it mandatory or something. Okay, see here, now it is there. Current location of the ISS, which I know, just now we saw. Overhead passes. Yeah, this is something they did. This API has been removed. Did you understand now? So every time changes can happen, we should accommodate to that. Now only two things are available. This is not available because people are crazily connecting and asking like when it is passing on top of my head. It is no more there. That's why you're not getting it. Hope it's fine. So in the same fashion, if you ask like, so pprint of, so response dot header, you can see that response dot header, whether it is a success or failure. For every response, there will be the header. You saw the header? So if I say like, so pp, and if I ask here also the pp, So you can see this is a server, this is the date, this is encoded and so and so. So response is not found, not found. Earlier it used to be there. It should be it would have been good. So if you get the response, and it used to give the rise time, at what time it came, what duration it is there, all this information it used to give. So that is information. So similarly, let me take you to the next one, where here D, so manage headers. Managing the headers means these request and response headers, right? Response you cannot manage, because whatever comes to you, you cannot manage, right? So whatever is going from you, that you can manage. Okay. Earlier you have seen the get API request. So similarly, for getting the IP information, so for basic this kind of practices, many people created some kind of endpoints. One such thing is HTTP bin. This HTTP bin is very interesting. They have a lot of options. Like you can get the IP information, you can get all kinds of informations. See HTTP bin. So all HTTP actions. If I say just IP, it is giving me IP address. But if you go to this site, they have like good number of things. HTTP methods. If you want to check how to do the authentication, like if you want to see the status codes or request, response, images, if you want to get. For all these things, they created like a dummy thing. So now if you ask anything, you can get. So one such thing is the IP. If I ask IP, I get my IP information. So let's see how smart I can play with this and how better we can deal with it. And you see a request when you're making. So how the response will come is also I will show. Let me do this one. Yeah. In this thing, I have this one. So I navigate back. You see that you make a request, you got the response. So response.status, response.url. So if you want to ask the response dictionary, so headers, you see, not every server is giving the same kind of response, right? Headers means earlier you see in a Nginx server, this is giving a GUnicorn. So their server name, which are it is, and keeping alive content length. This is furthermore less content. Earlier you saw 144 bits, right? Bytes, right? Here this much less. So application JSON only. So access control, access credentials, something it here. Okay, all of them we will see. And here also the same thing. If you are getting the data, you want to, instead of the headers, you are interested in the actual IP address. If I see the IP address, as you have seen that it is giving the response as a JSON. And if you are parsing that, you can get it. So IP address is response data of response. So this is my IP address. So this is how we got it, right? Request, response, and all this information you saw. Now, if I want to check the user agent information like this, for the same HTTP web, user agent. What do you mean by user agent means? So they created one endpoint to check like who is the user who is passing. User agent means like the client who is communicating. Means when you create a REST API, you can get the request from a Python like this language or a Java or some other languages, or from the browser also. Earlier I showed in the browser, right? Similarly, if I do the same thing here also it will give the response. Now here also, if I want to get the data, I can get like this, right? I can pass on and get this information. As you know, if the application content is same, you get the response agent. So you are hitting the API because you wrote here. The agent is what? Python using the request module. So like this you got. And I told we can do the same thing in a URL request also, I told, right? In that method also we can do same like this. So this is one method. The other method is also there. So that's what we saw. Method one we have is urllib.request. Okay, remember? So URL handle you get, with that you read the intent, you are printing it. Similarly, you have this second method, method two. So in both the methods, see here, you get the response. And if you see the output, you will notice it. So in the first method also you got, second method also you want. I don't want the status code. You just see the outputs itself. In the first one, what it showed, hey, you came with Python urllib like this, right? So it showed. So urllib 3.11. What is this 3.11? So urllib version. And similarly, request 2.28.2, that is your request module version. But fine. So now the same request I want to do in the browser. In the browser, and I'm asking, if I go to the browser, it says that, hey, you came with Mozilla 5.0 so and so, or a Chrome, or like anything. So any of the standard browsers you came with, it is saying, yes, I came with one of those standard browsers. So that's what you're seeing. Now, did you all understand? So they have created an endpoint just for us to see. But in general, no one will create like this. But so the request, when you're passing, so request will have this header information. So to understand that, let me debug and show you one of them. So the request dot header also will be there, response also will be there. So in the request, when you're passing, it will pass all this information. That's how it will know that you came from Python or you came from browser. That's the reason sometimes if you open certain things in the browser, it says that it's not supported. Or certain browser actions if you can't do it directly. If some people want to limit some requests in a particular way, they can use these parameters to do. So that is the reason. So if you want to tweak and do the changes, means let's say you are doing with this kind of Python or so Java or some other language. Programmatically, they don't want you to allow certain things. Only in browser they want you to allow. In that case, you can modify your request agents by passing this information. So if you want to modify that, for that, you need to do like what? Till now, what are the requests you're passing? You are passing the request information, right? So what are the URL you have? Apart from that, you can also pass something called as the headers. And you are like faking a browser. So your agent is like urllib.request. You are passing like user agent. You should write like this only. Internet Explorer 2.0, I want to tell. And if I say right now, it will take this request along with it and it will execute now. And if I say Python space so and so, it will get the response. And if you see the response status, you will get the response content. And if I ask, hey, how have you got this content? Let's see. If I execute and I'm asking in this case, hey, how you got? So don't you think, sir? So we have connected from request module. You're getting that it is the Internet Explorer 2.0. Similarly, so I will do the same thing with the other method also. In the other method means the first method we have. So import import urllib dot request. I take that also and do it. So this is the method one, right? We have, yeah, method one like this, and method two also we have. So for that we need to import the JSON. Import the JSON. So like that also you can do. And why I'm focusing only on these two modules? There were other modules also, but these modules will make you life better easy. So and these are like most commonly used. That's what I'm doing this. So you get the response, and here also in the other case also you get the response. You can see that both the contents are same. See, in both the case, though you are doing directly and you are doing like this. In the URL request, you do a request, and for that request you need to add the header. And after that, when you do a URL open, that's where the actual hit happens. And similarly, in request module, everything should be easy. So in terms of syntax also, it's easy, right? That's why most people, like this request module, because of mainly of the syntax only, and easy in terms of doing all at one shot, we can do it. But of course, as everyone know, it will come with own challenges. Now, let me go with one more example. This time we work on, so HTTP status codes. Uh, So this time till now we are working on the content. Now let me work on the image files. How to get the image information and what to work. Cats.py. I have some image. So till now I showed right about the HTTP statuses. For statuses also they created one open API. So we can just consume and use it. Till now 100 series means informational, right? 1xs means informational. Okay, something happened like that, informational. So 200 series, 300 series like that they placed. So why to uniquely recognize? So a simple example in your real world is if you go for any of the hotels, they say that go to room number 905. Means it doesn't mean that there are 900 rooms in that hotel. So ninth floor, fifth flat. For them to easily identify a group, they did like that. And here also it doesn't mean that there are 500 status codes. So some of them are not even there. But to recognize and classify each of them specifically, they mark it like 100 series, 200 series, 300 series, 400 series, like that. So as a developer or as a consumer, both we should remember this one. And they give like a particular, if you give the status code, they give the response. They have particular way for it. So I am just using this URL to get the content and I'm working on it. So what I want to do, let me show you. This is a very, very interesting program. You see here. So I have a URL. So if I'm asking for response, I get the response. Say I need to give one of the statuses and do it. So I have the values from 100 to 500, right? For each of the value, let's see. First, I generate each of the status code. So each code in, if I say range of, I want from 100, right? 100 till when 599 means 600 till 600. I want to get all the values. First, I try to print each code. You see now. You see now. First, I get like all the codes. You see all the numbers I got. With these numbers, I want to populate this. See, I wrote a URL particular way, right? So that URL I want to populate. So either I can do inline or directly also. So I can say that URL is equal to, so whatever this URL is there, dot format of, so whatever you have HTTP code, right? Each code. If I do each code and I print it. So instead of printing like this, if I want to print the URLs, you can see each time the URLs are coming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let me take one of the URL and hit first. Then slowly I'll go with others. Okay. Let me comment for a moment and let me go for one of the URLs. Say URL is equal to this one. Okay. 100. Now I want to do a request and get the, excuse me. Yes. If I execute and see here, you will notice that it is executing and status is so and so. Now, the most important thing here you need to understand is whenever you are working, so you need to work on the header and the content. So first, let me focus on the header. So then you will understand something very interesting. So header is having also a big number of things. And as you know, when you get something like that, you cannot understand. So to better understand it, from pprint, import pp. Instead of this one, as status code is 200, means everything is successful. Means I gave you the response carefully. It is asking. So it is giving the content like this. Sir, I did a p print, but still I'm getting like this because the response content is not of dictionary type. So we need to convert that to dictionary. Then we can better understand. That's what I told earlier also. Now also I'm telling the same thing. So if you do like convert to a dictionary, so dict, then you can understand that it will come in a more proper way. You see now, the date, content type. So content length C means it is something more. Did you see something interesting? Till now the content type is what? Application JSON. For the first time you're seeing image slash JPEG. Means content type is not a this thing. For the first time, you're seeing like this. Now, based upon this, you want to play something. So every time in this API, it will not give the JSON or XML. It will give for the first time like images. So based upon the images you want to work, you understood the status is 200 and the type is so and so. These two you understood. Based upon this, you want to play with it. Okay. Okay. See here. If status code is equal to 200 and response is equal to so and so, then you want to work on it. So what you want to say? You want to print the URL and you want to work on the content. Sir, you have the URL. I will print it. And if I want to print the response dot content. If I say I have these two and I want to print it. Okay. This URL and content I want to print it. You see now what will happen? The image content is coming, but we cannot see directly, right? And image means it's a binary data. You cannot directly take it. Then what is the solution? So you can pass to something and do it. So as we can get this content and you can process and pass to some of the file. You see now, whatever I got, I'm passing to it. As you know, this is 100. I am marking it like 100 only directly. 100.json I'm doing. So I'm not printing anymore. Content, if you print also, it makes no sense. Especially for the image data, you cannot see directly. If I execute, so it is saving to this file. Now, if I go here and ask, hey, 100, did you see I got a cat? So like this, if I ask, I will get all the images. So if I do the right now for all the logic, I get like all the URLs. And now I need to do the same for all. If I go inside, I get it. So instead of this URL, I'm getting now for all the URLs, right? Instead of for one URL. So for each of the URL, it will print and it will go to the request and get the request status and status as it is like 200. So then it will go and it will print. And each time you have each code, you write that each code. If I do, so now you see what will happen. Every time it will go hit and get the response URL. So every time it is going and it is printing. But did you see some of them only have the response? Did you see? Means for all these things, there is no data. So that's why. So in the others also it is going. For each of the numbers it's going and is getting. And observe carefully here. For each of the content it is going and it is writing to a file. And did you see why only there is only one image every time? You see? The image is changing. Means every time the previous value is getting overwritten. I didn't do like a format stringing. That's the reason. What are the numbers are coming? It is trying to overwrite, and the image is getting overwritten every time. You see? So these were like every statuses. Just imagine if these many images are coming in this directory, it would be very big, right? So first we should ensure that we should store in a folder. So good thing is that we are overwritten, unfortunately. What we need to do, if you do the same thing in these braces, then it will do like a formatting, right? As I didn't add these braces, it thought like each code.jpg and all the images were overwritten on the same thing. Now, first and foremost thing, what we need to ensure is that if the folder need to be created, if it is not created, then we want. So as we have seen downloading files, for the first time, we can see how to upload the files. Again, if there are some endpoints which are supporting that, we can try that. One such endpoint is the HTTP bin, which is supporting both like uploading one file or multiple files. First, let's see the case of uploading a single file. First, before even uploading, we need to have the files to be opened, right? So how do you create one file and how do you pass? So first we need to create a file. Create dummy file. So create dummy file means we need to have dummy data also to be generated. So with open of say like my file dot txt as like write mode as file handler. What I want to do, I want to generate some dummy data. So if I want to dummy data of some particular characters I want to develop, how do I do? If I just do like hello world, it will create hello world. But if I want to develop some dummy data of some characters, something, then what I need to do? So the best thing is that we need to go with some kind of randomness and get the string module or something. I will tell you that is very interesting. So if I first think on like creating the dummy data, if you see the string module, if I say the dir of string module, you can notice that you see dir means it will have all the attributes like uppercase, lowercase, all this information. Now in that I want to take all these things. So if I say like characters is equal to, so the string dot upper, string dot lower, string dot punctuations, like that I took like three sets, three things together. And if I am asking, hey, what were the characters? Okay, it will give all the characters. What are you have? Within this, if I want to jumble and I want to create some kind of things, and I can do it for what are the size I want. Say, now there is one more module called as random module. Using random module, can I get like randomly some characters? And before that, I can do the shuffle, right? Shuffle of these characters. So you know, initially you saw everything like this, right? If I comment this, you can focus on it. You can see shuffle, and after shuffling also, I am printing the same characters. And observe right now, string object doesn't support item assignment. Okay, so because like you are taking numbers, it is trying to make it difficult for in terms of shuffling. That is a way, but like I'm just showing it simple for you to understand. What is saying? ASCII letters is there. Okay, ASCII characters. Let me take ASCII say lower and ASCII upper. I will take ASCII lower, ASCII upper plus ASCII punctuations like that. You have see now. Okay, lowercase, uppercase, right? But still, it's not working. Shuffle is not working. Dot uppercase. Okay, shuffle is not working for the characters. So means like we need to import, do our own shuffling. But fine. So leave the shuffling for a side. So I assume that I have some characters like this. Okay. And if you want to like add shuffle string dot say white spaces or something, I want to add uppercase, lowercase, so and so. I have some dummy data. So from this, if I want to create some kind of characters randomly, so then what I can do? So random dot, there are two things. Random dot choice is there. So choice will give every time one character, right? So and like similarly, random dot there are two options. Random dot choice, random dot sample. Yes, random dot sample of. If I say characters and if I say 10, so it will give the 10 characters for me. Characters, and if I say some 10, I will get like some characters. Result is equal to, so print of result. So some characters are coming, right? So I can, if I join them, I'll get it. So based upon these things, if I want to create the dummy file, So then what I need to do? Now we see, based upon what we learned, how I'm doing. If I create the file, this is how you create it. Now we need to create the random content, and you need to do. So this number 10 also should come in random. So I want to create a randint. So, um, so count is equal to random dot randint, randint. So randint takes some inputs. Let's say if I say minimum 1 and like maximum 1000. So within that numbers, it will give some count. And that count, I need to pass to this sample of these characters, right? So characters, say chars is equal to, I get this result. And this one, if I do like a join, and if I do, so chars, if I do like, so delimiter dot join, we need to do join of chars. So I have like a sentences, right? Sentence is equal to something. Now I can do like what? Fh dot write of sentence. If I do now, I get it. So instead of count, I'm passing this number and I'm doing it. So, and you see now, so, and here, if I do like, max length is equal to 1000. Instead of you writing, you're making it like random. You see now, instead of all these things, so now you understood, right? You need to know import random. So import string, and these characters need to be developed. For the developing also, you write here. So characters is equal to string dot upper dot lower dot punctuation something around. Now like this, it will create a dummy file. Now if I do like a create dummy file, it will create it. So if say if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to underscore underscore main underscore underscore, you first create this file. Now the dummy file is created. After creating this file, so I am creating the file with a name. Say maybe like name comma so and so. Say what are the name I give, the same thing I need to do it here. See how I'm making it generic enough. Now anyone can use this, right? Reuse it. So here, if I'm creating a file name as my file .txt, I want to reuse it. You see now, define, so upload, so file, so file name. If you pass that file name you want to upload. So for that, they created a URL. So this is a test URL. So for that URL, they have it. I take the URL. It's a local URL is equal to this thing, post. Now response is equal to request dot, till now we are doing a get. So when you want to do this, the first time you are doing post. So for that, we need to import the request module, import request module, and you do request dot post of this URL. And this URL, when you're posting, it takes optional of files. What are the file you have, you need to take it. If you instead of like file, I can just do a file object and I do it. What is saying, hey, if you pass like a file directly, it will not do file name. If I do like a file name, it won't do. If I do like this, okay, and if I close the file, and now if I'm asking, hey, response.status. So now if you see here, upload file of, what are the file you have? My file.txt. If I execute this time, it should go and execute it. What are the file name it is going? It is going, but it will throw an error. Okay, what is saying? I don't have something. Okay, type random. You see now, it will go and execute. What has happened? Random of sample population larger than or is negative. You got a count which is like negative. I don't know why it you have like negative. Random should be positive every time, right? I don't know why it gave. So instead of checking all, No. Sample of some number should come. What are the number is coming? I should get it. So what is the count you got? 144. So then like random dot sample of characters, comma 144. I want to get it. So why it is showing so? What are the characters? So large sample larger than population or is negative. Generally, it should not happen. So as it happened, just I will do in a research debugging. So this is how I come to the internet and check if something is an issue and check like population larger than random value. So they will say like what they have done. See, this guy is also following exactly like us. He's taking so some random value. What is saying? The purpose of this is for generating passwords. I would suggest this approach. So he's doing for the password generation, but for us like a fake data generation. So random dot choice of this set of these values is saying, okay, so that is also one way. It's a good way. Um, random dot choice. Okay, choice it's taking system random of choice. Something randomly he is generating. So we can also do the same thing. So instead of going directly, I'm doing like this. So how I'm generating this? Okay. So what are the punctuations characters I have? This one I'm going like this. And for this, he's taking some 20 or some words in scarce. So we can also take the chars and join like sentence directly. Sentence, yes. Some max length, some logic they have taken. Yeah. Somewhere I want the main problem to be solved. So I'm generating the files and I'm asking it.
Take LAN.
Pardon? Oh, this one. See now, it will generate. So now a dummy file is created. So a dummy file, myfile.txt is created. It is having some random data, and like this file should go. So it is saying that file has gone. But to be frank, like I can give any name, right? So what if I write like something like this? Will it go? It is saying like still it has gone. And if I am asking to print that. So response dot txt, text. Okay, you can notice that. But it is saying, hey, arguments, file name is this one. I have taken like that. It is saying. But to be frank, what if this file is not there? That's why some people will not accept this kind of way. So here, this API is like having an issue that even if you give something random, it is taking. But in reality, people will be in such a way that they will take the file object and do it. Means when you give a file, how it will know that data should go? It will not understand, right? So in reality, how we do is that first get that file object. So means get the file handler. File handler means like open off. So what are the file name you give? The file name. So they will do in a read mode. So read binary because it's a binary data, right? And that file handler they will pass. So this is how we need to pass actually. So if you do, this is the proper way of doing. So now you see you got a file content, right?
Yes.
So you have your file content. I'm showing you. So you have this is your content, and it is showing like this. Okay, assume that I am saying like hello world. If I just do like this, even in this case, if I execute, did you see? Oh, every time it will generate a dummy data. Okay. So assume that I'm commenting this one. And if I'm doing like this, see, I go back to this file and instead of like this, hello world, like this. And if I save, ensure to save every time after your work is done. Now, did you see what is the file content is going?
Yes.
What you have written, it is going like this. It is saying gzip. means what are the content take, it will gzip and pass it. So this is how you upload one single file. In the same fashion, if you have like multiple files, the same thing with a slight difference. You take, like in this case, you take any files and you upload it. So this time I want to take like multiple files and I want to generate on the fly and use it. You see now how I'm doing. If I just want to create some dummy files, see what I'm doing. I'm creating the file in a read mode, creating the file in a read mode, read mode, read mode, like these three file formats. Okay. So assuming that this file should be there, if the files are not there, it will throw an error, right? So similarly, if I have like multiple such files, means like I have one more section of files. Like, so see, observe difference here. Either you can pass individually or like in a separate list of tuples. So as a dictionary you can pass, or a list of tuples you can pass. Both the ways you can pass, but for the response it will execute like this. If you are passing, it will execute. See previously what I did, right? So upload file, the same thing, upload multiple files. This is, if you want to upload multiple files, define upload, so multiple files. The same thing, if I want to execute, like everything in a single place. Now just I need to make a call to this one, upload multiple files. If I execute, says ls and python, so b so and so. What is saying? Hey, I thrown an error. Whenever you want to do in a read mode, what should happen? The file should be first present, right?
Yes.
As files are not there, you cannot get the file objects and you cannot pass them. So in this case, same like in the previous, we need to create the dummy files, right?
Hmm.
So I want to reuse this functionality there. How do I do?
It's important
From previous file, a single, a consuming, a underscore single file upload, import,
input.
create a dummy file. See, now you are making use of the previous things, right?
Yes.
So now I want to create multiple files. So how do I create multiple files? I do like please create multiple files I have. In this logic, I have what are the files I have to create. So files, so is equal to, I'm taking a tuple of what are the files I have. You know, my file, my underscore file dot txt, my underscore file 2 dot txt. So my underscore file 3 dot txt, right? Like this we have. All of them I'll write. Now, don't you think in one shot, can I do like, so create dummy files of these files? So each file I can do, right?
Yes.
For
Mhm.
files, I can pass to it like a file. It will first create it. Now I can take this option and do it before it.
We have to mention right mode over there.
Yes, you are exactly right. But so in that I wrote right already. I repeat again.
Oh, create multiple
So
files.
here I am passing. So in the previous function, I wrote the
Dummy
logic
file.
to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
in the right mode.
yeah.
So then it will execute. So now in this case here, I'm generating multiple files and I'm storing them also. So again, it got an error that he didn't find because it had a different syntax, right?
Hmm.
Instead of my file 2,
Understood.
my file underscore 2, my file 3, it says my file underscore 3, exactly there. If I execute now, it's working. So as you have multiple files, multiple dummy files are created and dummy data is going on. So did you see? I showed you like how to create fake data, how to pass the data, how to use it, and all these informations together. So, okay, sir. So this is good. But what if I have like large data sets and pass it? You can go with concurrency and do the things much better way. And similarly, for working on it, there are other multiple modules. like HTTPX and async.io and others also there. So and similarly, after consuming the REST APIs, so the next thing is like working on the GraphQLs and others are there. So practice it so we can see the other things in the next. If you Google like public APIs, it will show you the list of public APIs. So you go to these public APIs. This is a Google collection. Rapid API is one more thing. So or like public APIs or whoever is a provider, you go it. So the most common things are GitHub. GitHub, some people will make a list of all the publicly accessible APIs. For whatever the work you want to do, they have like APIs. So if you want to do blockchain, books you want, so calendars, currency exchange, so dictionary, data validations. So for all these things, let's say you want to understand more about the data validations. So data validations means they have some APIs. These are like APIs are there. You can just work on it. So if I say like US address validation, so there is, if you click on it, they will navigate there and you can work on it. Say they have a REST API. So how the pricing is there, you can see. For every pricing, if you see the first developer option will be there. If the developer option is not there, we cannot do anything, or you need to buy it. So if there is a dollar option, it's easy. Not only that, so if you go for any of the sites, say developer.twitter.com, I think now Twitter became uh, pricing, I guess. So they don't. I don't think they have anything a freeware at this moment. So earlier Twitter used to have that. So even like a Facebook API, Facebook has an API. So you can go to the Facebook, you can register for something, and you can get their Graph API and others. So or like as you are asking, Google, so or like location APIs, location API free, or like public API. So if I ask, so location APIs are there. So not just Google. So there are many people who are doing the location related things. Rapid API is like one website which will store all kinds of APIs. So from there we can access. From there also we can pay, and this also you can do. Say IP geolocation. If you give an IP, that's location. Till now we have seen many things like that. Or like countries, cities, Google Map geocoding. So some things. So any APIs. So like that, you also down the line can create your own API and expose also. So that should be the target if possible. But like this, you can create your own things and work on it. For every API, there will be a documentation which you need to follow. If you follow the documentation, you can work on it. So, but like I prefer first the GitHub related. So GitHub public APIs. So this one I do. Like many people will contribute here. So they will fork on it and they will work on it. So if you are working on open data, this is another good thing. Every government will come with something called as open data. So open data, US, UK, everyone has. So this open data means like anyone can go and access those data sets. So you mark like a healthcare, so and so, you can go there and they have like mapping information. See, overseas market introduction or something. You got like, archived pricing data or something. So there were some data. If I ask, if I go, so these data sets are there. They are giving like you like this thing for you. So some will give directly like a CSV, some will give like an API for you. So like that. And the last thing for you is about the Kaggle. This is another good website where you can find all kinds of data sets in one place. They doesn't mean that they are into REST API. So they are like, they have a data sets and we can create your own, Jupyter notebook inside it and you can work on it. So data sets and all these things together in one place, but not exactly REST APIs. They can go further also. So, so you can practice for some of the things. And I think like I placed some of the publicly used APIs also to work on. You can try one or no. If you get any doubts, let me know. I can help you understand. Say, yeah, to understand some APIs. Let me give this apis.md. So these were some APIs which are available. Just walk through them. So without authentication, till now we say. With authentication means I told you how to do authentication also. So open weather map API. So this is also very interesting thing if you want the location information. So GitHub has its own API, Twitter API, real-time usage, SMS. So there is something called as Twilio. So Twilio is interesting thing. You take an assignment. So tomorrow, try to do something on the Twilio. So Twilio is for like communications. You can do the SMS, so message, voice, email, text, everything you can do. So what you can do, you can go sign up for this Twilio, and after you sign up, they can give you the access. So after that, you get a API key. With that API key, you can try so doing some kind of SMS. Maybe like for every 5 minutes, you want to get your system health or like weather information, temperature information, all of them you want to do. So give a try to get those things done. So let's see how it works.
Sure.
So signing up to this page. Now if I execute, it will create and it will give me an API. So from that, I can get the API and work on it.
Okay.
So if I go in this case, in the files, you have like my API keys. If I go, so it is saying like status is inactive, which is already there. So if I want to make it like active, I can do it. Do you want to activate this key? I can activate this. I can use this key. Or like if I want to generate a new key, I can generate it. So I can give my own key name and generate also. But fine, every company has their own structure of doing the things, and I take it. Now this key, I can use it now. After my purpose is done, I can make it deactivate. Even if someone gets this key also, they cannot do anything. So that's how they are doing some kind of thing. So now I got this key. I can make a store. I can store this key, and I can start working on it. So in this case, after the API keys are there, you can go to the API. Every company will give their own way of things. So in this, if you want to get the current working director or like forecast or other information, as a basic subscriber, so I will get some informations. If I want to get the API data of this current weather data, if I go here, they gave this information that, hey, you can use this thing. What they're saying, latitude, longitude, API key. All the things should be done. And API key, they're asking like a subparameter. Now, if I take this example and implement, if I go for like a new tab, say weather information, you want to get weather info. In that first, get weather info.py. I created a thing. Now we have seen that how they have given the API. So this is what important. Based upon that, you manage everything. Get get weather information you want to get. If you pass some weather information, some latitude, longitudes, you get it. So this API is there, right? This take it as it is. It needs a API key. So I will take this API key is equal to some empty thing. So it is a global value because everything needs it. So I write the URL. So URL is equal to this entire thing. What are I have? Now I have this API key which is coming globally. So like a constant in the top. So I do like this, replace it. And it is an F string. So like that it works, F string. Now I need to pass latitude and longitude information. I can ask the same thing here. Hey, pass the lat and long information. If the user passes lat and long, so long information, so both it can go. So when the user passes these three information, now the URL is created. Now we need to have a request and get the information. So till now we are doing everything together. So here also we can get like that. So get data, I can pass like a different function, like a get data. For the get data, if you pass like any URL, so it will do the things for that URL. Means response is equal to request request dot get of. So what are this URL you have, you do it, and like you get the response dot. There is one more thing. Request module we need to implement. Oh, I didn't save like .py. That's why I'm not getting suggestions. Okay. So first I need to import that. Import request. So if I say response, for response, there is one more interesting thing. If it is a request module, response dot raise on status means whenever there is a problem, means apart from 200, if there is anything else, it will only throw an exception and do it. And if it is not so, then we can return the response as JSON. Assuming most of the time we have a response as JSON, right? In this case, we can do like this. Now, what are the URL that you are generating? That URL data you can get it here. Means it is a generic function. I place the generic function in the top here, and I can make use of it. Means so response data is equal to, so get data of this one, the URL. So like that, people make use of the reusability. So now if I want to print the, so response data, you can print it. Now if I say if underscore name underscore is equal to underscore main underscore, I can make use of this. So get weather information of some latitude and longitude I'm giving. Now for this latitude longitude, it will pass and it will give it. For me to better understand, I can write here like a URL. What are the URL I'm getting? So if I navigate further, Python so and so, it should go and get the information. You pass latitude longitude, but you didn't pass this one. So that's why it threw an exception. So from now you can handle exceptions also. Till now you know what? So built-in exceptions like eval error, common error, all these things are there. But here we can handle this also. I told here it is raising an exception, right? For this. So from wherever you are executing, we can handle that exception. Means, so try this data. If you are getting fine, so except, say here, I want to use this API to get the countries, and it is a query parameter. If you give a name of a particular country, you will get it. So get countries is my function where I will work on it. First, this time I will take the entire URL, say like till countries, and ask. You can go to this website and they can show you the entire details, like how it works. Say till countries I give, and if I need to consume the data. So I told there are two ways you can consume, either using urllib.request.url open or using request module. I told my favorite is like every time built in only. I used to work for a financial organization where we cannot install third parties. It would be very difficult. So, but if you have request module also, you can do the things. I can show in both of. And in fact, in terms of timing and performance, the urllib is much more faster compared to the request module, because this is tailored for doing certain things like this. And you see here, with urllib.url open off, so the response, we are getting the data. Say after that, if I say, I get what are the data I have. After getting the data, oh my God, sorry. Yes. Data is equal to, so urllib, sorry, request response dot read. This is how we get the data from it. And if you want to decode it, you can say the decode of UTF-8. So now I got the resultant data. First, I will try to print the data. Then I will understand something. So if name underscore equal to underscore main underscore, Then I try to get the countries. I want to execute this one. So I go here, navigate, and in the current directory, I have this file in the current directory. Then I can execute. So a consuming REST APIs. So Python. Query parameters. Yes. Python a so and so. Now you can notice that you are getting a lot of data. So see, you are getting entirely all data you are getting. So in fact, you will get like this. So you cannot understand that. So for that, we can say from pprint, import pp. I told pp is a format which can help you get the data in the same format instead of changing anything else. Now, if I execute the same thing again, did you see you're getting the same data again, but things are like very big enough. Means literally it is too much data that you're getting. So whenever you are getting the data from anything, so they will give additionally some more options. If you see, there was something like a page number, page per page, something like that are there. Options. Do you want to get all the data or certain data? So like that. As it is very difficult for you to understand, so then what we will do? We will take one record and print. So in real time, we do like this only. Any first time you're getting an API, either go to this site and do it. And if this option is not for you, they are not giving you the option. Means they give the documentation in a swagger. If you don't have, you can do like this. So this is how you got all the data, right? Maybe like you are interested in only one record in that. So first and foremost, you can write a breakpoint here. Next time, this time execution comes and it waits there. And you can ask first the data type of this data, because not everything is like this, right? You got it like a data, it's of type string. Hope you remember. So in a urllib request, if you are getting the data, by default it will be a string format. And if you want to convert, there should be a JSON module. And if you use the JSON module, you can decode it, right? So then like, response dict. So you convert to JSON means like what? So Python, how can it understand like this only? So it will do in this way, JSON dot load s, because it's a string, so we can get the data and we can get the response dict. So if I try this as it is, response dict is so and so, you can notice that, hey, I didn't load JSON because by the time it is running, it is not there. After that, I added, and if I ask, now I got a response dictionary. Now this dictionary, if I say like, hey, what is the type of this dictionary? Obviously, response dict means, as we know, it's a dictionary. So I wrote a dict, it doesn't mean that it should be a dict, right? Now, fine. If you want to understand the big query like this, sorry, I'm not literally using the big query of Google. So a big result of this. So first, we cannot understand all at one shot. So what I will do, hey, ask response dict dot keys. When you have a big thing, you cannot analyze all at one shot. You do like this. Now what it is saying, hey, you have a page, per page, total pages and data. Means except data, all the others will be small. So if I go individually to each of them, assume that, data I am taking to something else. As it is like a dictionary, I am doing response dict dot pop. In a dictionary, you can pop anything, right? Pop means what? So you're removing that key and assigning to something. I created a new variable and assigning. Now, if the same thing, if I ask, what is the response dict dot keys? As I pop this data, you have others are very small. Now, if I say pp of response, you can see the, sorry, response dict. Yeah, fine. Now, did you see? So data is very big enough. That's why you're seeing like that. Now it is saying that, hey, I am giving page 1. Per page, how many 10 records it is giving? So totally it has like 250 records and 25 pages. Means, right? Per page 10 records means, and 25 pages means what? 25 tens of 250, right? So every time when a REST API they create, so instead of giving all the records, they can give this kind of pagination. Because let's say you have, in this case, there are 250 records. But in real world, there will be 1,000 million, so records will be rare. If they give all the records in one shot, it would bombard, right? And it's not easy for consumption. At the same time, not good for like as transmission also. So that's why they will do chunk by chunk. This concept is called as a pagination. This concept is called as pagination. So this is how you got the data from the records, right? Now, if you want with a pagination of a specific size, say I got 10 records. Now I want to do pagination and I want to get a minimum records. Say if I want to do here, say pp of this one. This time I want to get like limit using pagination. Okay, get countries with pagination with page limit. I want to do page limit means what? After this data, so you should add a question mark, and this per page is there, right? Per page or 10 is there. So here we should write like per page is equal to say 2 I get. If I give per page 2, next time it will execute. So instead of executing the first one, I will execute now the second one. If I execute and I will reload again. And again, this parameter, this should be given by the API. It is not something unique for everyone. In the API, if they were given, so we can execute it. I'm hoping that it will be so, and I'm asking it. Did you see now it's clean comparatively? And what you can observe here is that there were two records it's saying. You see now? I got like page one. Sorry. Uh, yes. Yeah. I got like page one. Okay. Per page is equal to 10 again. And page count total is equal to 250. Total pages equal to 50. Means though I gave like per page equal to 2 or like that, it's not giving exactly. Means there in the API, they might have changed, have a specific way. Page size or page count. They give the variable. And also like one more thing, page is equal to 1. I think this should be there. By default, it will give page 1, page 2 like that. We need to understand this API. See now if I give page, so it is saying like page 2, right? Page 2 is giving. So if I say page 3 now, it will give the page 3. If I say page 3, it will give page 3. So like that, every page it will give. Maybe they don't have limit for that. So page count or page size should be there. In some APIs, there will be there. So by pagination, you're getting that. Means when you just get like the first time, you got only one page. But if you want to get all pages, means all pages, if I want, so all pages. So then what? I get loop on this one. Every time I got these three values I told, right? Page number, page size, and everything. So every time I need to get the page number. So, and the page number I need to increment, and again I need to give the things. So how to get all page records? It's very easy. So instead of you giving the page number here, you mark the page number as, so page number has some value. Initially, we need to get the first page, page 1. So you do like in a while loop. The same thing you do in a while. So while true you do, every time. And within that you want to execute. Okay. So when you want to discard, I will tell. What are the page number you give? If I write an F string here, did you see for the first time it will be page 1, next time page 2, next time page 3, page 4, like that. Each time it will give the response. From this response, I need to get again one more thing. From the response dictionary, I need to get this is page 3, page 4, page 5, like that you will get. So max how much it will get? Total pages, right? So if the page value is equal to response dict of total pages, then you stop. Then you want to stop, right? If you want to stop, means you want to break out of this while loop. So I do like this. I think I didn't give the proper indentation. Okay, it's working. Yeah. Yes. Now I think it's fine. Indentation properly. If I give now, it will break the code. Till then, every time it will generate. So what are the response you're getting? That data you want to take it. Means what are the response dot data is there, right? This data. This response data is containing what? This content, whatever you have. This is your content, response content. So total means records. Records is equal to like a list. And what are the data you're getting? See, every time you're getting a data is of type what? Did you see it is a list of dictionaries? So can I do like records dot, should I go with append or extend? Should I go with append or extend? If I go with like append, you know, every set will be part of like a subset like that. Because like, sorry, every list will be part of a sublist like that. If I do like an extend, then what will happen? As everything is like a list, all the lists will add to the same dimension and you will get the total records. And after all your work is done, then I want to check each time what is the page count. So now, one important point we need to see like the page number. See, every time we need to increment the page number, page 1, page 2, page 3, like that you need to go and you need to get the things. Once you come out of the while, so you can ask like, hey, pp of records only. I don't want other information, only the records I want to get. Now, if I execute it, you can notice here that all the records it will execute for each of the loop and it gives it. If I need to see this URL which is generating, say I can say URL column and I can give the URL. So I think like instead of a pp, I want like I think a p length of records I can print, or I can do a breakpoint here. So breakpoint if I do, if I execute again, you can notice it. Each time these URLs are executing. So if I give each of these URLs, I get the results. And finally at the end, I get all the records. Now I will ask, hey, what is the length of these records? I got 250 records. And also the page count also, if they give, they can work. At this API, I don't have the documentation available because it's a free API. They didn't give a documentation properly. I'm not having. But if you have a documentation, they will mention that also. These are like extra keys, okay, to be precise. And in these records, if I go for like one of the records of 0, I got their information. Records of 1, records of 2, so and so. You got some records. Now these records, you want to save to a file, you want to execute. This is how in real time you work. And these records, as they are list of dictionaries, you pass to a function and do it. So how do you do? Here also I can do, or write in a separate function. If you write more separate functions, it's easy for you to maintain future and also debug also. So means write to CSV and you have the records. See, this is the function you want to write. Now I need to define this function. Define write to CSV. If I was given some records, see, try to make as a protected variables as possible so that it is easy for you to do. And I come out of it and I do it. Let's see. In the write to records, let's say someone is giving a list of dictionaries. So now how do you write to a CSV? First, we need to import the CSV file, import CSV. Then how do you write it? So first we need to open a handler with open of, say, records, right? Records dot CSV dot CSV. And do you want to do in a write mode or append mode? Write mode. And so as a file handler, and here what we need to do, can I just do writing or CSV dot writer? So writer is equal to CSV dot, either I can use writer or dict writer. If I say like I'm using dict writer, because diction writer is good because we are getting all this information, right? But I don't know which is the records we have, what is the column names and others. So what I will do, First I need to get each of the records first, means columns. So for that, to get the headers, so I will go to the record 1 underscore record of 0th value. I go and get the keys. Those will be my headers. Based upon those headers, I need to work on this file handler, and also we have like field names is equal to headers. Then this is how you do a writer. And after doing so, we can say writer dot, so write header means till now the header will be done. And now based upon this information, I want to, for records in each of the record, I want to write. After this, if I execute, so instead of executing, so Python space so and so. So here we didn't print anything, only the URLs I'm printing. You see each of the URLs it will print. At the end, it will create a new CSV file and store the results. So records.csv, and it should do it. Now it is throwing an error. I will understand what is error. Error is all about encoding, right? So this encoding, so chip something it's saying where here when it is writing the file records, there itself it is getting the issue. Means for each of the record, when it is trying to write row, it is getting issue. So I will try to debug here. Breakpoint. And of course, in dictionaries, you also know, right? So instead of a write rows, you can do write rows also if it is a list of dictionaries. But I will prove this also, and I will do that. And if I re-execute, see, I think like, yeah, it is going all the way, getting all the records, and somewhere it has an issue. You see here it came, and I want to check type of record. I want to check what is this record. It's a dictionary, and I want to print this record. Okay, did you see that this record is having non-English characters? Hope you remember when we are working in the file systems, especially in the CSVs, I told that whenever you have a non-English characters, so how to handle them?
Yes.
So we need to have the encoding, right?
Yeah.
Until unless you have an encoding properly, you cannot do it. So for that, I told that when you are giving the file, apart from that, we need to give the encoding also, right?
Yes.
If I do this one, then the problem will be solved. As I didn't do, it came. See how I am debugging, I'm telling you. I'm not explaining the concepts only. I'm making you to understand so that you can do tomorrow on yourself. See if I go to each other page, get the records, and then, so you see here, now it's writing. Did you all understand what is the beauty of this encoding now? The file is there. If you want, you can open the record and you can see it. And did you see after each line, there is an empty line, right? After each line. For this problem also I told, in Python 3, whenever you are working, there is one more option called as a new line. For CSVs, when you're writing, we should write exactly. If you write this and if you execute the same thing again, you will see that the data will come all the way and it will store. And as you did in a write mode, the existing records will be vanished and again freshly you can see. Now, did you see there is no new line after each line? Everything is good. At the same time, for the writing the records, I told one more thing. Instead of you looping and doing it, so CSV came up with one more option. Whatever the writer object is there, dot write rows is there. This write rows expects a list of records only. As we have all are like a list of records only, right? I can just do like this. Instead of I looping especially, it can also do the same thing. So in this way, you are getting the records from it. All pages it is going and getting all the records, right? So it is what? Countries. So countries you got. Instead of a result, this time I will write like, countries. Fine. And in this, if you want to find for some record, So instead of you downloading all the records, pardon? Excuse me. So instead of you downloading all the records and then just evaluating, so there is a better option. So this kind of things happens in general. You get all the records. Say in these records, you want to get from a particular country. Let's say you want to get from India or like USA or some one country. Then after getting all these records of 250, if you are finding some filtering them, then unnecessarily you are getting all the records, right? Rather, that's the reason to avoid this problem. Every URL whichever they create, they give like an extra query parameters by name. Now you see this time, instead of all the countries, I will do with something else. Say I want to get this time, say get countries by search. Okay. Get countries by name. By name. If you give like a country name, so name should be given. Say country. If I give the country name, then we should say like, so it should go each time. So this option is anyhow needed. If you have more than one option, you should write an ampersand. See, observe, first time you should write a question mark. For each of the query parameter, you need to separate by a ampersand. And so we should say country name. So for that, they gave an API that, hey, you should give like this, like name is equal to. So whatever they gave, we should use the same. Name is equal to, and I'm passing this. What is this country name I have? Country name. If I pass, it will give. So now two query parameters are there instead of one. Now let's see this time how many records are coming, how it is going on. So instead of writing further, where is the other page? Okay, fine, it's stop. So this time I want to write records, but this time I want to pass one more thing, because every time it should not overwrite to the same countries, right? So I will pass one more thing, like file name, records, and also the file name. Then how I can pass? See, I want to reuse the same function for multiple things. That's the reason. So then earlier we have like countries.csv, right? So that countries.csv, instead of writing there, you pass along with your records your file name. And what are the file name is there? You place it here, such that the same thing we can reuse for multiple things. And similarly here also, I can pass my records and also countries. So what is this country name? So I can write like this, f of results.csv. You see, which are the country name I pass. For that country, what are the results are there, I will show. Say now, if I go for one of the countries, say within these results, say, because the name that we think of, the name they mention, it may be different. Let's take, I wanna go with like say, Afghanistan is the first name. I want to search with that. Now you see here, instead of get all the countries records, I want to execute get by name, and I pass the Afghanistan is a country. And if I pass that, you can notice it now. If I execute, the first one will execute and the second also will execute. Now in this case, it's not going for multiple pages, because in one page you got all the records. So let me go here and see. I got Afghanistan results. I got only one country now. So like this, I can filter. Say like, if I want to execute now one more country, say what is the country that I want to pass? Say get country of, say India. Sometimes there'll be, is it case sensitive or not means, it is not the REST API which decides. It is how they define their website. So India results means you are saying India results, right? So like that India, what is the name, what is the so-and-so and others, all information you are getting. And similarly, if they have further more things, like sometimes some things will give even a format also. If you give the format as CSV or so-and-so, right now we are getting everything as a CSV, right? Some people will give again a format also, like format is equal to JSON, like that. I don't know whether this API has designed like that. If you get it, you get it. If you don't have. So like that you have. I think like they don't have. That's the reason we didn't have. If you want like a CSV, if they support, we get it. Means to understand that I can just take this URL and just check in the browser. So in the browser they are getting. Yes, they are getting. They have this ID. So then I can add this one also in a particular format. Instead of CSV, I want to get like a JSON, and I can store. So means like now the same thing. I want to get records as a JSON. So I can do that now. So get records, get countries like JSON format as a JSON. Okay. So instead of that, I want to get all the countries or specific country I can get, and I can give all this information. So ampersand format is equal to JSON. If I get the response as JSON directly, what are the get data I'm getting? I will get it. So now will it go to this result, sir? As we are getting the JSON directly, we did not write to a CSV, right? We can directly write to a JSON itself. Now, in this case, we can write to a function that write to JSON. Again, same like that. You try to make as generic as possible so that you can reuse it. And the file name you want to make it. And so if I go with open of file name, so same like the format and file handler. And how you do JSON.dump, right? So JSON.dump of the records and file handler, some indentation. And you know not return anything. So it's your job is just writing. And so now we do like write to JSON of what are the records you have and what is the file name. Same like what you written in the top. So here, same results, right? So I do here like this. So instead of a JSON, I should write like, sorry, CSV, I need to write like a JSON. Hope it's fine now. I wrote the records and others. Now you can notice that CLS and Python EA so and so. Execute now. It will execute. It will execute all the records and it is showing. And see here. So it should show the results. You are saying country dot results. It should store the result. Means it's not coming anything else. The records are not coming. So means something is happening. You are not getting the JSON file. So what are the responses coming? I just want to see here. I write a breakpoint to understand. So real-time projects means like this only. You will have the problems. You need to solve it. So somewhere the issue is there. The issue is very simple. You created this function, but you never called it, right? Sometimes things will be very dumb like this. Yeah, you see here, I wrote logic. Now I want to get like a country, say the same India I want to get, and see if I execute it. The first two things I executed, it worked. For the third one I'm executing, I got it. I thought like function executed in did in game. So if I execute the dictionary, I'm getting the results. Means it will work. So I can do a continue. C for continue, it will execute. And you can see the result. Now the JSON is coming. So the JSON is containing the name. So the native name means Bharat. So means like the domains and capitals and all information you're getting. So don't you think it's good? And similarly, now I think if you want to implement the functions to be more generic enough. So now you understood there are four cases. Means either you want to get all the countries information, or so you want to get a specific so paginated information of each country. So or like so you want to so get a particular country name, or if you want in a particular format. So like this, now you can write a generic functions which can handle all these edge cases. So like that thing that as an assignment now. Assignment is so write a generic function. which can so do all about in like CSV and together files, and also like which can get the countries used and other things. Get all the countries from the API. So all should be done in a single generic API. Means try to implement it. So
Yeah.
you have like default arguments, you have like variable arguments, you have keyword arguments. So you need to know which one to use to get them. So okay.
Okay, Uday. Sorry. Yeah. What does mean it's generic function?
Generic function means, see here in this function, what you're doing, you are getting the same API. Okay.
Okay.
So then you give a page number, you
Mhm.
give a name is equal to country and
Mhm.
format.
Okay.
If the user didn't want to get the pass the country name, so if the user didn't pass in your function, you need to write a generic function. For that, if the country name is passed, then you need to filter by country. If the country name is not passed, you need to give all the countries. If the format is user is passing, you give it in the particular format. If the user is not passing, you can do a default format, and similarly the page number and others. Means you need to know how to create this URL generically. If user is not passing country information, you should not add this one. Did you understand?
Can
If
you
the user
repeat?
is passing
Yeah.
this, you should get it like that.
Can you
So
repeat it again?
yes,
Sorry.
you have this URL.
Mm-hmm.
So means now the user want to call. Okay, your generic function is there.
Mm-hmm.
This function they are passing like country is equal to some India or something,
Okay.
and like format is equal to JSON they give.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you'll write? Country is equal to country and
Mm-hmm.
format equal to JSON. That's how you write, right?
Yeah.
And format equal to JSON, and you do for all the pages. You
Okay.
check for all the pages. Say page number also they can give, if they give or so and so.
Okay.
So similarly, if the same user is not giving like this thing, if
Mm-hmm.
they are giving not giving the country, just give the format.
Okay. So we have to
So
change the URL, right?
yeah, then this should not be there.
Okay. Got it.
Ampersand should be there, but so and so. But
Okay.
what if they give like a CSV now? So we should make it like CSV.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
And if they don't give this also,
Mm-hmm.
means like everything you can take. You don't pass, so this also, and you get the results.
All the condition. Okay.
So
Got it.
like that, you need to get the things done.
Okay. Got it.
Hope it's clear.
Yes.
Yes. So any doubts till now? Okay. Now let me take you another journey. This time I want to create one more project. This time, hope you're aware of the ISS, International Space Station. If you aren't aware, so this is a space station where like people will be residing, the astronauts and scientists. They do some kind of space analysis, and it is like a ship. I mean, it's like in the space, so it will roam around the world, and it will do certain things. And if you want to know about this more, so there is a website also called as Open Notify. So from there we can get all this information, like where things are going on, what it happens, and others. So let me share the screen. Yeah. So Open Notify is a website. If I go here, Open Notify. So API, if I remove that API, you can see. So Open Notify is a web page they created. So there you can see that it is a current API they're saying. And from that you can get the ISS location. That is one thing. You see the location information. Right now it is at this location, latitude, and this is the longitude. Means if you open the Google Maps and you can check what is this latitude and longitude. So in Google Map, you can check not only with the names, you can give the latitude and longitude also. If I give latitude, comma, longitude, if I give the longitude, I can get that information also. If both of them, if I give, it is pointing where? Somewhere in Pacific Ocean, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, see, somewhere it is there. Means around the earth only this will rotate. Somewhere it will be there around. Every time it will be roaming. So now it is like this, right? So again, if I reload, see the changes, right? The dimensions were changed now a bit. Means it's moving further away. If I do the latitude or something else, if I execute, somewhere side it has gone. Means it is continuously moving around the earth. So this location will change every time. So this is a very interesting API for you to understand the APIs. And what it is giving, ISS position is latitude is this much, longitude is this much, message is success, timestamp. I told what is a timestamp, right? So timestamp means if I'm telling what is the time, if I say 10 past 2, and if you are saying like 2:30, both are same, but the way we express is different. So for making the things better, so if we have a unique number,